Pat's telling us tales of Australia. They just got back from Outback. They're here at Mr. Small's doing a rescheduled show. We had a big snowstorm the last time. Anti-Flag, latest CDs, the people were the guy, and I am Gigz Giger. This is the Rock Circus, and as usual, we're backstage at Mr. Small's. Now, Pat, I wanted to congratulate you guys on this. This is a really fucking good album, man. You really kicked it out on it.
We recorded it right down the road.
Yeah. We gotta look up and do these interviews when you're recording instead of trying to
hurry
and hang out, you know, do some vegan stuff, smoke some vegan. But this is your first effort on Side One Dummies,
yes.
Which is great, man. I think, from what I understand, the RCA thing wasn't working out so well.
Yeah.
And that's why one reason I apologize to you guys, because we've never had you on the show.
Yeah.
You're a Pittsburgh man, and I'm fucking been in Pittsburgh for 20 years. It makes me look bad. But everybody at RCA is douchebags, basically.
Amen. Well, that was the thing.
You know what I mean? I was just small potatoes not worth their time. They would just send me the videos.
Well, that's why it wasn't working out, because we work with people who who are doing it because they love it, not because there's money in it. So that. And then RCA just didn't understand that. That wasn't how.
Well, they have the American Idol confection.
That's
you
true.
know what I mean? Which
Kelly Clarkson needs to. I don't do whatever. I have no idea.
The
what
money
she
they
does.
waste on those people's promotions. You know what I mean? I wonder if it's even. Well, I guess it is worth it because you have the television. But fuck that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the people where they're going.
Yes.
This is some good shit. Now you recorded it right down the street here in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
How did you approach this one any differently?
We did it a little bit differently.
More passion, I would imagine.
Yeah, this one was a little bit different in the fact that we didn't have anybody else involved in it. The last two records, we actually had producers. Up until then, we never worked with a producer. And with the major label, they're like, we'd like you to work with somebody else. And to be honest with you, we'd had 4 or 5, 6 records at that point. And we're like, well, yeah, let's get somebody else's input into it. And then this one was a good return to, fuck you, we're going to do it the way we want to do it, and we don't care what you have to say about it. And actually, Side 1 wasn't even on board. We started recording it by ourselves, and then we talked to the Side 1 people. We've been friends with those guys forever, and because they had bands that we would tour with, and Joe Sib and Bill would come out to shows all the time when we were in LA. So on this one, we had started recording because we were like, we're gonna record a record. Worst comes to worst, we'll put it out ourselves. And we talked to them, and they were excited about it, and they're like, yeah, we'll put it out, and that was good for us because then we could go out and tour and do the work that we needed to do on the road and let somebody else do the work to make sure it was in the shops and stuff like that.
Yeah, that helps when you have someone like that to do. And the thing is,
we can do it ourselves.
This is the great independent age. This is what fuels my fire to keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's we could do it ourselves and release it ourselves. But then you gotta, you're on the weekends, you're making phone calls to see if the mom and pop shop in San Francisco whether Amoeba Records has records in the stores where if Side 1.
Damn, they're impossible. If not, hair loss and nerve wracking.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, I'd rather play drums than worry about whether my record's in the shop. I'd rather have somebody else handling that.
Oh, hell yeah, who wouldn't? I mean, you got to as a band because that'll just suck the life out of you.
It's hard work.
I've seen it do with the bands,
But it's at the same time when we have other bands that we like the band and it's exciting to be like, this record is great. You should put it in your store because there are people in your area that are going to love this record. So that's a lot of fun to do, but it's also fun to play drums and just worry about playing drums.
How's the sales been charting from it? Has it been going strongly?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Cool. I'm glad to hear that. Now, you guys were in town, I guess, while the G20 summit was going on.
We were in town.
And you were supposed to play that, but that kind of didn't go down.
Yeah, we were just talking about it I was talking to a gentleman who's working, he's a lawyer working with getting kids out of jail, or getting their out of jail. He got them out of jail. Now he's working on getting their fines and everything reduced. But what happened was there was another organization that set up the show. We were going to do something ourselves, and then another organization came to us and said, well, don't do anything. We're going to set up our own thing, and just you guys can just come and play our thing. And we're like, okay, because we were on tour a lot, and again we were like, all right, we'll let somebody else handle it, and we'll just come and play the show and be supportive of the event. And they set it up in a place that was a little too close to the police no-go line. So those
lines became very difficult over those periods.
Well, exactly, and that's what happened, and it ended up where everybody's like, the kids can't even get to the show. There's no place for them to go. There's no place for them to park. They're not going to be able to get here. So they're like, the show, we can't have the show.
These guys just rented a fucking barge and just
that
rolled
was,
down.
But that was the thing, and I was like, if I'd have known this would have happened, we would have, done something in Oakland, or just found in Shadyside, or Squirrel Hill, just found a bar that would let us do a show, or
yeah, exactly.
But it happened to. It was like, okay, it's gonna go, and then all of a sudden it was like, no, it's not gonna happen, and we're like, well, we can't. There's nothing we can do at this point. It was too tight. But I did. It was an amazing experience for me because I enjoy not only the politics of intimidation and fear that they used in Pittsburgh for that stuff, but I also like to be out in the street, and I like to see it in action. I like to see the new weaponry that they use against the population. There was some scary shit out there, and
prequel to the New World Order.
Yeah, exactly. And you get out there and you see the sound blasting cannons, and you realize, they use this on people in Iraq, and now they're bringing it home. So they test it out in people in other places of the world, and then they bring it home to use on their own population. And you realize, well, there's really no difference between an uprising in Iraq and an uprising in the States. It's still people in power who will maintain their own power at all costs and don't care about human rights or anything. They only care about their own power. And when you realize that, you're like, this is the reality. This is what's going on. And that makes, at least myself, more passionate about organizing large groups of people, because the end result is they can't get everybody. They can't hit everybody with a sound blaster. They can't gas everybody. If you have 2 million people, you have much more power than they do with their little sound cannon. So the only way of defeating power is to organize and to get large groups of people together and diversify and diffuse that power that they have.
Now, do you think Pittsburgh did a so-so job as far as bringing things to light to protesters? Because I know the media kind of skewed it.
Well,
made it look like
again,
there was disorganized, disheveled, and all that.
That's the way that's the way it always is. When the news media always downplays the number of people who are at the events, they always say that they're radicals or they're fringe elements. But the reality was there are a lot of especially on the sanctioned march, there were a lot of older people, a lot of grandmothers, a lot of moms and dads with kids who were there because they thought that that they think that they should have a voice in how the world is being created, because these people are having these meetings and creating how the world is going to be for the next 10 years. And a lot of people, myself included, think that people should have the voice, not just bankers, not just people who have the power, but people from the middle class, people from all walks of life should have a voice in how the world is going to be created.
Yeah, and the thing is, we have to be perceived as not lunatics, though. You know what I mean? I have people that believe that Obama's being primed to be the leader of the New World Order.
Yes.
I mean that's just running in heavy intellectual circles, you know, and it's quite feasible. And it just seems like Democrats, Republicans, it's a wash on both sides.
Well, exactly, and that's
the
truth. And that's, again, it's about power. It's not about Republicans or Democrats.
And protecting someone else's power. That's when there's a lot of these diehard Republicans, the teabaggers, or they're even claiming not to be Republicans now. They're starting to see the light a little bit.
Yeah.
But, it's ridiculous how perverse our Constitution has been taken and used. Sure. And it's great that people can get together and share a voice and trying to, show the world that, hey, this is, you're claiming to be this. My point real quick is you're claiming to be this, but you're just doing it to protect this asshole's money, And,
exactly.
And he's not going to protect you. Don't think that he is for 1 minute. And I think people are delusional.
Yeah, well, and it's been classic how people in power have been able to manipulate the population into going against their self-interest. They're saying that for people to have health care, it is not in their self-interest to have health care. Every other person in the Western world has health care. Mm-hmm. It seems to work for them pretty well.